Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Thursday on a beautiful game day weekend. I tell people in this industry all the time, look, man, like you have like 15, if you cover the University of Georgia, you have 15 game days. And the 15th is not guaranteed. The 14th, hell, is not guaranteed, right? You have 15 game days every single year to pump out as much content as you possibly can, to create as many storylines and cover as many storylines as you humanly possibly can. That is your job. Saturday is that 16th bonus game. We get an extra one, guys. We had a term in high school football where I was from. It's called free ball, right? Saturday is free ball for y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Most of y'all are going to pay $5 to get into the building. So Saturday, free ball out there on G-Day scrimmage, and a lot to look forward to. But tonight is you guys' show. Tonight is question and answer here live on the platform. We've been very, very regimented. This guy. If you know me, this is blasphemous with my lifestyle, okay? We have regimented Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for the last probably 2 months now during off-season content. We've been grinding it out here, growing with you guys, and appreciating you guys on the growth with us. But tonight is your show, as every Thursday is. So start loading up those questions. We got a few of them loading up now. But I do have some questions, or some takes, rather, some opinions, some rants that I kind of want to get off of my chest, or some topics that I want to address, as you can see by the title. G-Day is Saturday, but there's some other things going on Saturday as well that we're going to tell you about. But I said on Twitter that I was going to hit up my folks that gave me their first 5, and I was not only going to hit them up, but or take their questions here live on air, but I was also going to give them free subscriptions to our Film Guy Fan Patreon as well. That's patreon.com/Brooks Austin. So if you're not following me on Twitter, you just must not have Twitter, and that's okay, because most of you guys and gals have trickled your way on over from there. Matthew McKinney over on Twitter asked you, I got a stepfather named Mike McKinney, so that's maybe you guys are related. Broderick Jones excelled at getting downfield and destroying defenders. Will Green or Blaschke play with the same intensity? It's not a matter of intensity, right? It's a matter of ability. Matthew, okay, over here on Twitter, that's at Matthew R. Mkin 2, or Mitkin 2 rather. It's not a matter of intensity. Both of those football players you mentioned, Ernest Green, I remember doing an eval here on this network where we're showing you him exploding people's chest with his hands, really, really violent hands, and a relatively violent football player from the West Coast. Blaschke on the other end, that is like one of the nastiest football players you'll ever see. So it's not a matter of intensity out there in space. It's a matter of ability. And I've also said on this channel before, there is not a more athletic specimen and human being that I've ever covered or been in the presence of than Broderick Jones. I think that's why you're going to see him be a top 15, top 20 pick in the NFL draft. So do you have anybody with that athletic ability out in open space? No. But maybe what Broderick wasn't in the run game, maybe Blaschke is. Or maybe what Broderick wasn't from a technical standpoint early on in his career in the pass protection department, maybe Ernest Green is. So you take some of the cons and pros of the player that Broderick Jones is, and you try to find them or spread them out within the other 2 players that are probably going to get run, definitely going to get run on Saturday, and probably going to get run this fall. Thank you, Matthew. Hit me up on Twitter. Actually, I'm going to follow up after this and make sure you get a free month over there on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. My boy Thomas, he hops in there and says, based on what you have gathered since the end of the season, what is your takeaway on how Smart and his coaching staff limit the complacency within a program coming off back-to-back national titles and bringing in tons of new talent with the amount of new faces? What do we do to keep that mentality? Well, to keep my attention span and the audience, shorten the question next time. Just kidding. But no, to answer your question, how do you eliminate complacency? It's doing things like we saw this spring with guys like Jamon Dumas-Johnson and Smile Mondon. Those are 2 NFL football players, right? We've talked about for years on this, not years, but we've talked about for a couple of times, or a couple of, I would say about 18 months now, how talented these 2 individuals are from a linebacker's perspective. They're 2 of the better defenders you will have entering this season on that side of the football. 2 better players on your roster, period, point blank. And Kirby Smart's pulling them into his office and showing them clips of last spring and showing them clips of last fall and saying, guys, this is how y'all were practicing. And then shows them now tape and says, this is how you are practicing right now. What is the difference? And that doesn't even need words. The individuals know, hey, we got to step our crap back up. We got to start playing back to that, eating off the floor mentality that Kirby Smart calls it. We got to get back to that. So how do you eliminate complacency? It's the same way, just doing like that all over your building. I don't know if complacency is allowed around people like Kirby Smart, though. I will be honest. I think that machine is constantly running. And if you aren't chasing him to catch up, and if you aren't trying to keep up and continue excellence, you're just not around him. Okay. That's just, he doesn't allow that type of vibe and energy around him. Successful people do not. Okay. So I would imagine he's the same way. So complacency doesn't breathe in that place, right? It's just like selfishness is not allowed to breathe in places of success. Okay. These things don't exist in Fortune 500 companies that make it to the peak, right? There are cultural values across the spectrum in every single walk of life that matter, right? Complacency gets you beat everywhere, not just the football field. Okay, so they're eliminating that day by day. And like I said, the example of Jamon Dumas-Johnson and Smael Mondon being called into the coach's office and getting crapped on in the middle of spring, prime example. Last one from Twitter, Marion Campbell. I know you're going to be over here in YouTube because you always are. Each year, the defense takes on characteristics of the strength of that particular personnel. How do you expect this year's version to develop? I think we've done a very good job on this channel this spring, really talking about how deep and variable or the opportunity to be variable is that have variety in the back end at the defensive back position. You're so deep. You have so many different talents, guys that have unique skill sets. A guy like Javon Ballard, who is just elite from, hash mark to hash mark in the box, around the box, making plays, impacting the football at deep safety, has these different types of abilities, whereas Tyke Smith does it a totally different way. Okay, he's much more of an instinctual football player. How did he get there? Don't know. Moved first type football player, great open field tackler, that type of stuff. All these guys have different values, different skill sets. At the cornerback position, right? You got a guy like Nyland Green, super long, lengthy, agile, elite athlete, 6'1", long arms, right? You got a guy like Dalen Everett, super clean in his technique, right? 6 foot, 190 pounds. Okay. Guys like AJ Harris, Smoke Bowie. The list goes on. Julian Humphrey that I missed out on. That's a 10, 300 meter runner that is like 4th, 5th in these names of listings everywhere you go. Not just me. It's like you rattle off all these corners and you're like, damn, they got a bunch of them. Yeah, I think they're going to play a bunch of them as well this coming fall. So shouts out to the folks on Twitter. All of those guys I'll be hitting with free subs. And as you always know, super subs get hit first here on Twitter on this platform. But before we get going any further, I do want to tell you about the transfer portal because G-Day is not the only thing going on Saturday. Okay. Saturday is also the start of the transfer portal. And if you follow these things as closely as I have to, because it is my job, when that news hit me about a week and a half ago and I gave it to the Patreon audience, I was kind of surprised. Like, y'all bumped up the portal a whole month. Like, if you were paying attention, this date was supposed to be set for May 15th, and now it's April 15th. Why? How does this happen? Right? That wait a tick. What's going on? Brooks, they just moved up the portal dates a whole month. Why? Where? Out of nowhere, right? It seems like it's out of nowhere if you were paying attention. This might be news to you listening to it right now. You probably didn't even know what the official dates were. When they were set back in August for this calendar year, they were set for May 15th. They are now April 15th, which means Georgia will be playing a scrimmage game, a spring game. Guys will be putting on great tape at that spring game only to turn around and enter the portal. It will happen Saturday afternoon. It will happen Sunday afternoon. It will be Monday, and you will be like, damn, I thought we just got done with the scrimmage game. We did. And roster movements are already happening. And I think this is a microcosm of what this sport is right now. Okay, and I think it's a good thing. Hold on with me. I know there's a bunch of changes going on with your sport. I know the ground beneath you feels like it's constantly moving. The tectonic plates constantly seem like they're doing this. An earthquake is not near you, okay? But things are changing constantly, and there's a reason why, right? Things like the portal and things like NIL, these things cause changes to your roster construction, and they cause changes to your football calendar. So when these dates were set in August, everyone thought, great, we'll be ready by May, we'll get done with spring, and then everything will be good. What they failed to realize was 90% of these football programs were done with their spring practices in mid-April. So they're calling the decision makers of college football and saying, guys, man, I mean, why are we dragging ass? I'm done with my spring game April 15th. I'm supposed to hang on to the dead weight until May 15th to start making moves? Why are we wasting 30 days before we start throwing blood in the water? Let's get it out of the way. Let's just be done with it. And you know what? Whoever's making these decisions, whoever these mythical people are that we were telling you about a couple months ago, these college football decision makers, whoever these beings are, I give them credit. I give them credit for setting these window dates. It's strengthened the calendar for all of us. So I'm not constantly worried about every single alert being some yahoo hitting the portal because they're not getting enough playing time. Okay, it actually shrinked the calendar for not just myself, but for coaches as well. Okay, it was a good thing for college football. And guess what? When there was an issue with it, a minor change, they said, okay, we're listening to you guys. We're going to do it. Don't worry about it. Be ready for it. We'll let everybody know in a couple months. That's progress. That's change. That's progressiveness, right? That's continuing to upgrade your product and move and be malleable and doing things that businesses do to continue to survive all the changes around their climate, right? That's a good news. Kudos for the NCAA, because it is. If you're not progressing your product, you are dying. And speaking of dying, I'm dying to tell you about all the things I have planned for Saturday's show in Athens at Creatures Comforts. We've been plugging this. The link is in the description, or will be in the description. I forgot to put it in before the show. That's on me. The link will be in the description below today's show. Something happens to my brain when we start to have these remote shows, as I like to call them. When we bring the operation, when we bring the bells and whistles to a new location, something happens to my brain. My brain just clicks on, and it's just like, you ever had one of them fans, like a constant, like AC unit fan that's constantly blowing? That's what my brain's doing, just all day long thinking about this event. And I do not want to oversell and underdeliver. But I got some great stuff planned for these things. I love doing these remote shows. I think it allows you to actually like feel what's going on right here, like feel what the product actually is. And in this case, you get to do it around a bunch of NFL or a bunch of Georgia football lettermen at Saturday. Again, Saturday at Creatures Comfort, starting at 11 o'clock, going until 3 p.m. You can watch me and about a half dozen former UGA lettermen chop it up and talk some football, okay? I do live shows different than most people, okay? We will have cameras. If you're not able to make it, don't worry. I'll talk about it here in a second. We'll have everything set up. But if you've ever watched live shows, hey, we bring speakers. You are right there in front of us. We're actually interactive with the audience. We're going to do some live Q&A, some trivia, some good stuff. It's going to be fun Saturday at Creatures Comforts. I want to give a quick shout out to the Players Lounge as well. Those guys have been great, scheduling back and forth with me and getting some guests. I don't want to promise some of the ones that I haven't been given, but I'm going to give you the names that we have confirmed, okay? Warren Erickson will be joining us, and we are going to watch some film. We are going to talk some football. We are going to interview him in classic style right there in front of you, okay? Maybe with a beverage around, all right? And then Keith Marshall, of course, will be joining us from the Players Lounge. And one of my favorite football players we've covered, and if you've watched any of these programs around here, you know how highly we speak of him, Chris Smith. I've been promised and have been in communications with about interviewing and watching some football with. So if you want to do that, if you're going to be in town and for some reason you haven't already signed up, head over to Creatures Comforts or head over to the Players Lounge event link in the bio that we're going to be setting you up with. Appreciate you guys. If you've listened to that right now, you just listen to that segment, you're like, first of all, God dang, he drank way too much coffee tonight. Nah, dude, I'm just juiced. I'm amped. I'm ready to rock. And you know what? I don't feel like I got to slow down talking no more. I feel like y'all done. Like some of you like young people, you millennials, you Gen Zers. Is that a new term? God, I sound like a boomer. Get it. All these young people, y'all turn your podcast on to like 1.5 anyways. YouTube's got a 1.5 for you. You do not need me at the 1.5. I got it for you. Let's get after it. But if you listen to that segment, you're probably listening to, I think, one of two things. One, Brooks, you just told us the portal was going to open up Saturday, and you didn't give us any names or intel on what's going to happen. I got you. Don't worry about it. Two, you're probably wondering, if I'm not there, if I can't be in Athens on G-Day, how do I watch all this premium content that my boy is supplying to everyone that's in attendance, though I can't go? Like, how do I get access to this? Don't worry. We're going to chop it up. We're going to have all these cameras, all these gizmos at this event as well, and we're going to get it to you via YouTube and Patreon. We're going to spread that thing as thin as we can and make you guys rat race all across the internet to find it. I'm just kidding. We'll make it nice and easy for you. after the event. All right, that's everything I got. I'm done. 15 minutes in, we got 45 minutes. The rest of it is you guys. Hey, Jonathan Williams did show up and is elite. He's just elite, period. Dr. J underscore Will, Dr. underscore J Will on Twitter. The Twitter game's elite as well. First question of the night. This, by the way, guys, this question came in at 8:19. I'm reading this timestamp on here right now. My man's was 40 minutes early with the comments. That's how you potentially get a raise with the boss man. You come in here, your brown nose a little bit. I ain't mad at him. All right, Jonathan says, first question, what is your bold prediction for Saturday's game? Give one on offense and one on defense. I don't know why for some reason turned into like crazy broadcaster voice. You know what is one of my pet peeves, and this isn't Jonathan's question, but when guys like overdo it. First question, what is your bold prediction for Saturday's game? Give me one on offense and one on defense. Just ask the question. Just speak normal. You don't talk like that. Don't do that. All right, bold predictions for Saturday's game. One, they throw it over 80 times between both between both rosters. All right, so that's 80 divided by 3, which is about 26 and a half attempts per quarterback. Okay, that's about what I expect. I bet one of these quarterbacks has like 40 or like 38 attempts. The other one has like 28-ish, 32-ish. Okay, and then the third one has like 14 to 20. Okay, I bet they chunk that thing all day Saturday to avoid any more injuries or any more dings to that running back room and that offensive line unit, even though that offensive line unit is extremely healthy. But hey, offensive line room's banged up right now with Michael Williams being out and things like that. So Jalen Walker being out, Marvin Jones Jr. being out. So those kind of war of attrition dings on that roster and depth chart have probably limited your ability to run the football Saturday, as well as Kirby Smart just not like running the football in scrimmages because no coach does. Except for coaches that are trying to establish mean culture, tough, brother, gritty football. Let's see here. Defense. What we got? Defense. Couple turnovers, like big turnovers returned for touchdowns. I'm betting that. I think there's going to be some mistakes made at the quarterback position on Saturday, just because it's going to look like mistakes. There's going to be a bunch of, hey, we're in a scrimmage. We need to see what that receiver's about. Throw the damn football, son. Okay? I don't care who thinks we should bench you because you threw 2 interceptions in the G-Day game. That would be Mike Bobo's probably feelings right there. What position and who puts most pressure on the QBs? So I'm assuming Jay here is talking about the defensive line and getting after the quarterback on Saturday. I'm going to go outside of the defensive line, and I'm going to go the linebacker position. Okay, so guys like Smile, guys like JDJ, guys like Raylan Wilson, guys like CJ Allen, okay, guys like Ryan Davis, guys like EJ Lightsey. Okay, these linebackers, not only are they elite athletes, but flip it over on the other side of the football. Again, I always say this, but it's so valuable to watch our film evaluations because my opinion that I'm about to give right now is based in film evaluation. If you're a defensive tackle, defensive end, 3 technique, whatever, nose tackle, you are not going to walk through Cedric Van Pran. You are not going to walk through Tate Ratledge, Xavier Truss, or Amarius Mims. You are not going to go down their chest and bull rush them. It's not what's going to happen. If you're going to beat them, you're going to have to catch an edge. So what does that mean? How do you catch an edge, Brooks? Well, you're little, you're explosive, you're twitchy, right? You can bend. Okay, you get beneath their pads, you get beneath their hands, you get beneath their hips, okay, and you get to an edge. You play half of a man, and the only way to do that against some of these offensive linemen, because they're so good, is to beat them with lateral quickness, okay, particularly the guards. I think Xavier Truss and Tate, if they were to talk to you to a man, they would say, hey, if I have any improvement in my game, it's east to west. I've got to be better east to west. Cedric Van Pran, same thing. Okay, foot speed and east to west, got to get better. Those 3 interior guys, which is why I think, again, you're going to see pressure on the quarterback Saturday. I think it's coming from that internal kind of inside linebacker position. What freshman do you think breaks out Saturday, says Robert, my boy Robert from the Damn Good Dogs podcast. Let's see here. Well, Lost and Lucky's the easy answer. That rabbit's out of the bag. Like, it's out of the hat. You pull rabbits out of hats. What do you pull out of bags? It's a great question. Put it on the poll. Lost and Lucky, the things already got out. It's gotten out so bad. The hype's gotten so much that, and I love doing this because I, like, over the years, I started noticing these things from your head coach. that Sun Gun is not going to allow some 19-year-old freshman to keep getting hyped up. Did you hear what he said? It may have been true, but it also may have been completely fugazi. Did you hear what he said in his press conference the other day? He was asked about Lawson Lucky, and he was like, well, I think it got out that he made a couple touchdowns in the spring game or in the first scrimmage. And I think some of the older defensive players may have read those press clippings, and I think he read them too, as a way of saying like the old guys gave him his comeuppance that next day. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I know his Kirby Smart's y'all are asking about complacency. His incessant need to knock people down a peg when they get bounced up a peg is just why he's him. Okay, that's why he is who he is. That's why there is no complacency, right? Oh, freshman tight end. Nah, ain't no freshman tight end. Y'all shut up. That's what he's telling the media about doing stuff like that. So, didn't really answer your question what freshman breaks out Saturday. I'm going to go Roderick Robinson based off opportunity. I don't need one of those free subs. Shouts out to you, Chase. But do we solidify any visits recruiting after Saturday? I've got a list out on Patreon of all the visitors that are going to be in town. I don't know if you solidify anything coming this Saturday, but I think there's 2 visits from position players just off the top of my head right now that live very close to the school. That I don't know if they're nearing commitments, but these type of recruitments kind of narrow down quicker than others, just based off of clout and just notoriety and who they are, right? One is KJ Bolden. He will be in town this weekend. He's supposed to be in town I think last week with Buford kids. Edric Houston made it to town, and all those different superstars on that Buford roster. There's about half dozen of them, maybe 2 dozen of them, or a dozen, maybe 2 that will play Power 5 football. But KJ was supposed to come in midweek, watch practice, do all that good stuff. Couldn't come. He was sick, per my sourcing. Just breaking news right here. Shouts out. You guys got a live YouTube video nug right there. But he will be in town this weekend. And the other one is Sammy Brown. Sammy Brown's going to be in town this weekend for a visit during G-Day. I think those 2 guys, I think it's very important to, like, not that you haven't had a chance to leave a lasting impression, but this will be the last time they get to like see your product. The rest of the time they're going to be coming in. You're going to be asking them to camp, or they're going to be watching other kids camp during the summer. Like, it's a different vibe after G-Day. It's a different kind of recruiting visit. It's, hey, come chop it up with coach. Come sit in the office and thanks for wearing your slides today, indicating that you will not be working out for us today. That kind of thing during the summer. So those 2 visits, when I look at the list that we put out on Patreon, those would be the ones that I'm kind of paying attention to. I will tell you this. They have had some dudes on that offensive line come through in the last couple of days. They just offered a 2026 kid. I was just talking to him. What's his name right here? Darius Gray. This dude looks like he's 30. He's got bicep like cuts. Okay. So here's a little scouting tip for me. Skinny ankles, high up on the leg stem calves. Okay. And I want to see some muscle definition on offensive linemen in high school. I don't want you to just be a Poe doughboy at 305. If you walk in at 305, I want to see you stacked up at 305. I don't want to see no, Brooks Austin walking in at 265. I want to see somebody that's at 265 looking like they're supposed to be at 265. Not all doughy, Poe, and pudgy. All right. Poe's not even a word. I'm definitely not poor. Just kidding. We are. Here we go. On to the next one. Would you ever leave Georgia job for Michigan job? No, don't think so. I've gotten to think about it all the time. Like, do the same stuff you do for Michigan players and staff, etc. I don't do anything for Georgia staff, first of all. But in terms of covering another program, I think we have developed such a relationship, you and I, whoever's watching this right now. I think me and my audience, you guys, shouts out, have developed such a relationship that I don't know what it's going to take or cost or the vibe I'm going to have to feel to leave where I'm at. I love doing what I do. The last 5 days, I don't need to tell you my whole life, but we're going to get into some of it, I would imagine, through some of these Q&As or later. But like, I have such freedom to do pretty much whatever I want to do, cover whatever I want to do, all that good stuff that, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know if I shouldn't say never, right? Never say never kind of deal. But up to something, season happens every off season. People come calling, people come talking. We take interviews. We do stuff like that, as most professionals my age do. I just love what I do, man. I love what I do and where I'm at and how I do what I do. So great question. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't go cover Michigan because that offense, whew, Holy shit, I love offensive line play as much as the next guy, but miss me with that. Miss me with that. All righty. How much of the old Bobo do you expect to see Saturday? Use that, Harry. Okay, he was recommending questions. Here we go. Harry, this is my favorite question of the day because I staged it myself. He said, "What is your favorite part of your job, Brooks?" I have a lot of things about my job that I love, right? Writing is probably way down the list. Writing is how you know me, believe it or not. Writing is how I've created some type of platform. I'm very thankful for my abilities and skills as a writer that I've crafted and built up on myself and learned and all those good things and the tough lessons I had to learn as a writer coming up and all that good stuff. I certainly love doing video work. I certainly love taking photos and being as good of a photographer as I can because, man, at the end of the day, like when I get home from events like national titles, when I get home from events like that Peach Bowl, man, I am super emotional when I get to look at that day's work, right? And get to go through it. So I certainly love that. But the favorite part about my job, Harry, is stuff that are a portion of what I consider my job that nobody really ever sees. So I'm going to tell you about it right now. I'm not going to use any examples. I'm not going to tell you any examples, but I'll tell you what I do. I have a very large platform. Okay. And I have a large platform for a variety of different reasons. But one of the portions of the reasons is because people know me as a football guy, right? I'm missing it again, as the film guy. It's what I do. I know football. I know what good football players look like. I aspire to be more knowledgeable every single day on the matter and subject of football. So with that comes followers, it comes coaches, relationships, it comes all of these different things. But it provides me an opportunity to impact young football players' lives in the form of scholarships and like, hey, coach, this kid is really, really good. You will never find him. He is at such and such school in Podunk, Georgia. Look at this tape. Okay. And my opinion, through hard work and through a long time developing these relationships and being out on the trail and hitting 65 schools last spring, these relationships that I've developed have allowed me to change lives in the form of college scholarships. I am not providing the scholarships, but I just put them in front of the people who can. And the ability to be at that point in that stage in my career, that gives me the most utmost joy because I know for a fact, look, I was born on first base. I was going to be fine no matter what. We were going to be okay no matter what without football. But that is not the case for a lot of college athletes. A lot of college athletes do not get to college without football. Okay, they probably don't leave their small town, Podunk, Georgia, nowhere without college football. That is the reality for some young men and women in this sport, in this world, right? So the ability to use my platform and my football knowledge to identify someone who is uber talented, but is just the world has just not shined light on it yet, to be able to grab that and say, and put a spotlight on it and send it out to relationships that I've developed, and then insto facto change that individual's life. That's the stuff. That's better than being present for national titles, right? That's better than hanging up all the credentials on the wall. That's better than taking photos when people ask me to do. Like, it's better than hitting milestones on Twitter. Like, getting people to college when it's not my job, it's not what I do, it's not what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to write articles, take photos, and do this. But to be able to do that kind of stuff with my platform, it makes me joyous. It almost brings me to tears sometimes. So there you go. Shouts out to all the appearances. He said, yeah, I love to do guest hits. So if you're, people watching this tonight and, you got a podcast or whatever, I've gotten to the point now where the schedule's kind of tight. Okay. But what he's referring to is Aaron Murray's, Players Lounge YouTube channel. We hit that the other day. And then I went on with the Jakes over there on Dogs HQ as well. If you want to learn, or watch any of those interviews, I enjoy them. I enjoy getting to do stuff like this. It's to me an interview style. Y'all interviewing me and probing me with questions. It's a very similar thing. It's me off the cuff, off the rip, just thinking and going. I feel like I'm sometimes at my best and at my most sincere and most natural in those moments. So yeah, go check those out. But my question should be, how can so many feed from so few troughs? Honestly, feed a position not stocked on this team. Oh, find a position not stocked on this team. That's a great question, or a great statement, rather. It's not even a question. It's like, hey, they're loaded up. How do you feed all these athletes, and how do you get all these folks ready to rock? How about Rudy being on time today? 9 o'clock comment. Also, how about me being 30 minutes behind on the questions? We need to load these suckers up. All right, we got a super sub in here. A couple of them right here. Georgia fan, your take on Mark Taylor's situation? What the other big time schools should do about the distance themselves from him? If you don't know what he's talking about, Mark Taylor is a pretty well known football trainer, athletic trainer, down in the middle of Georgia, South Georgia area. There's a very vulgar and gross, disgusting video of him came out on Twitter the other day, and it's obviously ruined his business. I'll tell you what. I don't have to give you a take on this. I think that it's good. It's good when these things happen because now we know. Right now we know. Like I said the other day, and it's a different situation, but when things like again, completely different situation. It's not this. This is vulgar. What he's talking about this Mark Taylor situation, vulgar racism. Stop. Hard stop. Next. I don't like it, but it's we know. Now we know. All those people, all his clients, they know. So they don't have to return to business. So I don't have to make a situation on it. I don't have to give a take on it. It's going to handle itself. That's why we're good. The saddest part about that story, other than him exposing himself as that, is he walked around for years with those same thoughts, opinions, and whatever in his privacy, okay, in his privacy, as some people would say, and no one knew. Now we know, right? Again, hard stop, but like I said about the Dave Portnoy stuff, when you're going out here calling a 21-year-old athlete, again, white, black, purple, orange, male, female, XYZ, don't care. When you're coming out here calling a human a classless piece of shit, like I know who you are. I know who you are, what you stand for, what you're willing to say, what you are not willing to say, right? When you're doing those types of things, we're good. We're good. We know. Now we know, right? That's kind of my take on those things. I saw another super sub in here. Love this content. Does this team have any weaknesses? Appreciate you for the super sub one and as well as the compliment about the content. But as far as a weakness on this football team, I will say this. I don't think I would have concern, and I don't even necessarily think I'm concerned, but when you don't have career starts, when you don't have playing time, when you don't really have practice time that's that deep, right? You don't have 10,000 hours worth of effort and tutelage and training at the edge position. Not a single one other than Chaz Chambliss. But you don't have like a sack artist, and I don't know if Georgia ever needs one. I know they play different defenses than anyone else. And if I talk to people inside that building, I'm like, y'all need a 10 sack guy. They'll look at me and say, yeah, we need a 10 sack guy, Brooks. We just broke multiple records the last 2 years on points per game allowed. But sure as shit, we need a 10 sack guy. All right. We did that with finishing like 88 in the country in sacks in 2021. We were the best defense college football has seen in freaking 25 years. But yeah, we need a 10 sack guy. I don't know. I don't know where your weaknesses are. I think it's on the front line, on the defensive line. That's why, comparative to years past. But guess what? They feel like they pump it up. They feel nothing but greatness coming out of that room. So there you go. Like they got football players. They think they got really, really good football players. So I saw photos of Jordan Hall today. He looks like he's lost 10, 15 pounds of baby fat. So like they're trimming him up. They got all kinds of really, really good football players in that building. Let's roll back up and get some of these top 4 receivers this year. So the top 3 are very, very easy. It'll be in no order. Ladd McConkey, Ra Thomas, Dominic Lovett. And then the 4th will be, assuming we're taking Brock Bowers out of this discussion, will be some semblance of Marcus Rasimi-Jacksaint, Dillon Bell, or perhaps sneaky bet, Yazeed Haynes. My boy Rude showing up on time and letting the people know, got to hit that thumbs up button. Appreciate you for doing it. Here we go. Jamie Brazil asks, hey, Brooks, could you and would you like to do a show with Jeff Sentell? I think that would be a good show to watch. I'll tell you what about Uncle Jeff, and I call him Uncle Jeff because he's like a media father figure to me, but it feels weird to call him dad, so I call him Uncle. Okay, I call him Uncle Jeff. The best show content ever that Jeff and I would ever create, you are never going to be privy to. Jeff Sentell and I talk more than any human during the fall than I know, okay, in person, other than my wife. Jeff Sentell and I talk to each other every Friday night for hours on end. Hours on end. We go to most of the same high school football games. We're there all the time, okay? He, I, and Jeremy Johnson. So, yes, to answer your question, I would love to have Uncle Jeff on. But I don't do a lot of guests. I don't know if you ever noticed. We don't have a lot of people on the network. Okay. We don't do a lot of, and it's not because I'm, some kind of egotistical maniac. It's not because I'm some kind of egotistical maniac. It's just because my metrics over the years have told me you guys come to this network for what you come to this network for. You don't come to this network to see things like this, but we will give it to you. I don't mind. I mean, Jeff's never called me and said, "Hey, you want to come on? What's his show? In Between the Hedges or Before the Hedges? You want to come on Before the Hedges?" I mean, we don't. We've been buddies for years now. We've never even talked about it. I think it's just because Jeff, I genuinely appreciate my friendship with Jeff. Jeff has talked me off of a lot of ledges in this career so far in my life. Because when I got into this, I was 25, 26 years old. No, I was 24. I was 24 years old, had no idea what I was doing. Okay. And whoever I met, I happened to run into on the recruiting trail early on in this business. So Jeff was one of the very first people I ever met and became a very, very close friend, I would like to say. I don't know if Jeff speaks of me that highly or likes to tell people that we're buddies. But yeah, Jeff is a very esteemed colleague of mine. Did I use esteemed properly there? He would know. I think we kind of already hit this one. Go Dogs 23, no offense. Let's see here. Who do you think will take Kearis' spot as a returner alongside Ladd? So this is a good question and one that I haven't done a ton of digging on. There's a bunch of guys on the roster that have like career experience dating back to high school on returning and being a quote unquote return specialist. I'm going to give you a name that you're going to see Saturday and you're like, who is that kid? What the hell? Who is he? Okay, because everybody knows about Logan Johnson, which I don't know if he's available because I think he's still rehabbing from knee injury. But this other guy is a very similar stature and has a very similar story in terms of he is a walk-on at the University of Georgia, despite the fact that he turned down like mid-major full ride scholarship offers at real football programs, like football programs that beat Power Fives all the time. Okay, and his name is Mekhi Muse. He wears 87. Okay, he is going to probably catch a punt Saturday and go, and you're going to be like, hey, who's the jitterbug out there running around? It's Mekhi Muse. And again, if you have not watched that high school tape from Central Gwinnett, my God, do yourself a favor after tonight's show and just, first of all, sign up for the event on for Creature Conference on Saturdays, okay? And then go watch Mekhi Muse's highlight tape because it is bonkers. Can Jay Bull and Bullard, not Bullard, Bullard. Can Javon Bullard and Malachi Starks be a better tandem than Chris Smith and Starks at the safety position this year? All right, so that's not the tandem, okay? Even though those guys were great. And those guys are physically better than the tandem that I'm about to mention. But I have a very special place in my heart, and I think Kirby Smart does too, for the tandem that was J.R. Reed and Richard LeCounte. Those two football players were so smart. Not that Chris and Malachi aren't, not that Malachi and whoever's going to go with him this year and play with him, whether it's Bullard or whether it's Bullard, maybe I've gotten rid of it. Maybe it's whether it's Bullard or whether it's Taki Smith or whether it's Jonah Aguero or whether it's David Daniel Sisavon, like whoever it is playing in that tandem this year, the bar for me will always be Richard LeCounte, J.R. Reed. Because they didn't have all world beaters in front of them. They weren't physical specimens, yet they always made plays. Richard, I think, still to this day, has more interceptions than any other player under Kirby Smart. Like, he was a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. So I love watching those guys play, and that's the tandem for me. And no, I don't think they'll live up to it this year, but I think they're far more talented and physically gifted than Richard and JR are. I've met both individuals. They are not large human beings, okay? These people we're talking about, Chris is not a large human being, but Malachi Starks is a big dude, okay? Jonel Aguero is a big dude. Tyke Smith is a thick individual, okay? These are big football players, and we'll have to see. And they're very, very gifted, but I don't know if they'll be that for me. Again, I'm biased. I just tried to explain in a long form that I'm biased. Do you expect UGA to have more big plays down the field compared to last year due to Beck BBG's big arm? I think you'll have more big plays downfield by nature of talent at the receiver position. I don't necessarily think like I think the whole like do you throw it 75 yards stuff is overblown. Like there is no timing in an offense that says like deep balls are better thrown at 70 yards. Like if you're throwing a ball 70 yards, you have bought time. Like you've extended the play. If you're throwing a deep shot, if you're throwing a designed shot on time on the back hitch, like as soon as you hit that back foot in the drop, whether it's 3, 5, or 7, and we're loading and we're hitching and we're getting out, like as soon as they don't want you to hitch, but everybody hitches. I think it's bullshit when they say they don't, especially on deep balls. I can show you Aaron Rodgers clapping the ball and hitching, like everybody hitches. But anyways, as soon as you get to the top of the drop on most of these deep shots, the ball better be out. Okay, so Stetson had the ability to throw a ball 60 yards last year, and that's all you need. So will you have deep shots because of the quarterback or more deep shots because of the quarterback talent? No, you have more deep shots because of the wide receiver talent this year. Okay. Let's see here. What other players are gonna be at Creature Comfort Saturday with Chris Smith? Like I said, I've guaranteed Warren Erickson, or guarantee, I've confirms the word. I've confirmed Warren Erickson. I've confirmed Keith Marshall. There's some other guys that I've been, allotted. We will decide, kind of pick and choose how it works out and how it slates. But I know Nakobe ripped the video for him. I'm not promising Nakobe Dean. I know Nakobe is a very, very busy individual, but he will be there. And if we can grab him for 10 to 15 minutes, I would love that. Nakobe, if you're watching, we'd love that. But guys like Bakari Rambo, there's a long list of names. Again, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but we're going to be set up from 11 to about 1:45, 2 o'clock before I got to break down and start heading to the stadium. We're going to be set up and running that sucker like a photo booth. Okay, so as any player is coming through and readily available, boom, they're going to hop up right there. We're going to hammer that thing out right there in front of you, okay, in terms of the interview and the film watching. So definitely something you're going to want to be at. Who is the most important O-line recruit that we can't miss on this cycle? It's easy. 2024 is Daniel Calhoun at Walton. Can't do it. Can't miss. Why did Aaron Murray back out? He did not. He has to call the Arkansas game for ESPN. I was talking to the Players Lounge folks today, and they were like, sorry, Aaron's not going to be there. He was going to relieve you some of the pressure on you from a mic standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint. I'm like, look, dude, when ESPN calls, all right, you just go. Like you don't say, sorry, I got, like, no offense. You get your butt up and you go to Little Rock. I was texting Murray. I told him, I said, hey, man, enjoy Little Rock. All right. I heard they got Walmarts up there so nice. They look like Targets. I mean, it's crazy, the Walmarts up there. Let's see here. Did Coach Searles miss on O tackle Nikolai Brooks? Has Nikolai committed? That would be news to me. I don't think he has, and I don't think they are going to miss on it. Or in terms of miss, like they're going to be in on that one. They should be in on that one. They're like, you talking about can't miss. In 2025, Nikolai Brooks is the can't miss. Who shows out more on Saturday, Ra Thomas or Dominic Lovett? I think it's from a opportunity standpoint, it's probably going to be Ra Thomas, and here's why. Marcus Rasimi-Jack Saint is an X competing for that X spot. Okay, Tyler Williams is a very, very young receiver competing at that X spot. Dylan Bell is cross training. If my memory serves me correct, there are a handful of names like competing and running at that X spot. Okay, but in terms of that Z position, there's a bunch more. All right, Ladd McConkey, Dominic Lovett. Okay, Dylan Bell definitely playing a lot more Z than he is X physically. That mold is not an X body. That is a Z body. Okay, guys like Denylon Morissette, that's a Z. That's not an X. And then if you bump Dom into the slot and want to play Dominic Lovett in the slot, which is where he's going to do some of his work this spring, okay, he's competing now for touches and work with Brock Bowers, okay, Arian Smith, CJ Smith, all of these different slots that got to get touches as well. So, like, if you were to ask me straight up, like, put your money on one or the other for over a number of opportunities and catches, I would put it on Ra Thomas. But then again, I've heard a lot of great things about Dominic Lovett's yak ability, and with young quarterbacks. If you heard that soundbite from Bobo the other day, he was talking about checkdowns. Greatest quarterback in the history of the game, which according to him is Aaron Rodgers, which is I think blasphemous to me. Like, I know he's super talented or whatever, but like, football is a sport about winning and putting up numbers. And there's one guy who has won more than everybody, and he put up more numbers than everybody. and it ain't Aaron Rodgers. All right, so like the GOAT conversation missed me on that one, Mike Bobo. What was I talking about? I don't know. Let's move on. What's up with Woodyard visiting Ohio State? You took a commitment from one of the top players in the country in January of his senior year, going into his senior fall, his junior year. Guys, I mean, Mo Better, 04. Okay, let me ask you. You could go see like the pinnacle of the sport. You can go see the best of the best everywhere you go, and you can be loved on every time you walk in the building. Everybody will sing your praises. You are 17 years old. Come on, man. He's going on visits because he wants to go on visits. And you know what? The day Kirby Smart is a beta and calls kids and says you can't go on visits when you're a commit is the day he becomes Dabo Swinney. That's right. Stamp it. Run that clip. I'm not gonna say hate. Hate is a strong word. I dislike strongly the fact that Clemson is, and they make it about, no, we want Clemson guys. We want OIB. You don't want your girlfriend going out dating other people. No, I think that's insecurity. I think it's insecurity in your own program. When kids commit to your program, okay, you don't stop recruiting people at his position. You still go recruit people at his position. You still recruit guys on your board that are bigger than him and better than him. And guess what? If those guys pop, you're going to call that kid and say, go home. We don't want you. Go back on your other visits. Clemson has never not processed someone. I guarantee you in their history of a football program, they've processed someone before. They've said, nah, we're going to renege on our offer of like getting you a scholarship. We're going to call back on that. Like that's happened at Clemson before. I guarantee it. So it's a one-way street up there. I think that's insecure. I think that's lame. I think that's lame as shit. If my daughter comes home and says, Daddy, my boyfriend, when she's of age, by the way, will come up in this house trying to date my daughter. If my daughter comes home and says, Daddy, my boyfriend of a couple months is like super jealous that so-and-so is happening, or such and such guy talked to me, or my friend did this, I would say, well, did you give him a reason to be untrustworthy? No, I was just talking. Okay, I was just saying hello. If that's the case, then he has some insecurities. Kirby Smart has no insecurities on the recruiting trail. If he did, he wouldn't recruit like he does. I ain't got no ifs, ands, buts, nothing about Ohio State trips. So there you go. Oh, they were not in the top 10, apparently. I will find out. Maybe they just left the edit off. He's talking about Nikolai Brooks. Let's see here. What would be a question from Brooks to Kirby on his 8th year as a head coach and his achievements? I don't necessarily think he vibes with like, hey, coach, how do you feel about all you've accomplished? I don't think that's him. I don't think that resonates with him. I think if you wanted to ask Kirby Smart a question, and I can think about this because I'll talk to him Saturday afternoon in his post G-Day presser. But if I wanted to ask him some type of intricate question about who he is, I asked him his why during the post-game national title game. I thought he gave me a really intricate answer, a really detailed answer, and a really great answer. But as far as like, hey, 8th year, where do you think? I would want to know. The answer of what's your why I wanted to find out how his motor continues to run like it does. That's maybe the more direct question I would want to ask him right now. If you were sitting on this network, I would say, Coach, how does your motor continue to run like it does at the rate at which it does? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I try to be an 8 a.m., worker to 1 a.m. worker. I have been since I got into this industry, and it's been part of the reason for my success because I do work my ass off. But I mean, dude, every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every so often, every 10, 12, 13 days, I'm like, God, I got to do this again. I get fatigued, man. I don't know how he does not seem to get fatigued. So I want to know, like, how's your motor? What are you doing? Are you, what are you on? That kind of thing. That kind of thing. Here we go. Did you ever, Cody Tony Wilson says, did you ever hear back from Big Nolan for Baby Nolan? Let me check the DMs. I think I do have something from Nolan, like within regards to that message. Give me 1 second. He said, tell him if he does that, whatever he can do to help. So what I told Nolan, not to spread everybody's business, but what I told Nolan was I would try to get some type of something, okay, whether it be, a little selfie or a little video, a little camera, something. We'll try to get your son something, okay? Because I know you guys are very, very proud to be Georgia fans, and doing something like naming your son after one of your favorite players. Um, I know for a guy like Nolan, that's like his he knows what God gave him, the talents he gave them, and why they gave him them. Right? He understands that his gifts are here to give back to the world. I think Jordan. I get these vibes from guys like Jordan Davis as well. Jordan Davis seems to me like he has been told, called, delivered here to be a light to the world, to try to do as much for every person that the world and his platform interact with. Okay, and be as loving and as you walk away and you're like, dang, he was everything I thought he was. Okay. Same thing for Nolan. He is 100% one of those people. So, Cody, we'll certainly do something. I don't know what to do other than tell him that you're naming his son after him. Maybe we can get you a baby jersey and we get him to sign it or something. But yeah, I know he's a very, very busy man right now with the NFL Combine. So when all that stuff starts to slow down, all these guys start to talk a little bit more. Do we have a head count on the CC event yet? Trying to gauge what time I've got to hit the road for my 4 hours ride. Yeah, we certainly have a head count over on Patreon alone. We've got over, I think, 35 confirmed folks that have already bought tickets, and all of those come with multiple plus ones. So we're going to have about 100 people, I would say, just from Patreon folks. That's not tracking how many people signed up from Twitter. That's not tracking the hundreds of people that are coming on the Players Lounge end of things, okay? Because this has been promoted and pubbed out the right kind of way. There are going to be hundreds of people here, okay? That's not a joke, okay? Hundreds of people here, and about 100 or so of our people, of this family, these people that interact on this place, and some of the people that impact this place, right? Jay Griff's not going to be there, but if y'all have noticed, man, I am very proud of our graphics department. And our graphics department, just like right now, our in-house production department is one person. Our graphics department is one person. It's Joshua Griffin, okay? And he does a great job. So shouts out to Jay Griff. He's not going to be there, but some of the guys that help us out on SI.com will be there as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a good day. And I think I'll talk the wife and kids into coming. So there you go. How about them apples? Got a couple minutes left. Let's continue to knock these things out here. No mention of Arian Smith so far. I just forgot him. Yeah, he's going to bring it this year. I think the important thing about Arian, and it's always been the important thing about Arian, is how much is he continuing to pour in to that development of his skill set. I'll never forget listening to Deshaun Jackson talk about this, about how it took him so long, like well into his NFL career, because these individuals like Deshaun, like Arian, they're so stupid fast. They are faster when they're not trying to run fast than you could ever imagine. So what happens in most of these timing-based offenses is they end up running out of windows before they're supposed to. What does that mean? Well, I am, to the slant, to the dig behind it, to the post backside if nothing's here, right? 1, 2, and 3. And if that post, by the time I get there, if that guy's completely ran out of the picture because he's Arian Smith, and I can't throw it by the time I get there, then he's jacked up the timing of the offense because he's just too damn fast. All right, so how do we figure out the nuance required to play the wide receiver position? In my opinion, it's time. That's all there is. It's time. And I think this spring, the most important thing that came out this spring from Arian Smith's standpoint is the fact that he's not running track. That is a world-class track guy. Like he has the ability to be special on the track. He gave that up so he could continue to be special on the football field and learn these things that I'm talking about. So I love when kids make decisions like this. I love when they prioritize and place value in the things that they need. So yeah, that's what I would say. Hey Brooks, how much do you cover recruiting on your Patreon? So he's mentioning patreon.com/Brooks Austin. And I would say like 3 or 4 times a week. I'll pull it up right now. We'll go through it. I know I put out a visitors list early in the week. I know we gave a heads up on a commitment earlier in the week. So yeah, there's a visitors list, a commitment alert. We gave you some scrimmage intel as well. 2020 offensive lineman that may be popping soon over there. Portal dates moving up. I gave you that one about 10, 12 days ago. Some quarterback intel. Okay, so it's all over the place. And during the spring and during the summer, recruiting intel really starts to heat up over on Patreon because guys are getting on campus. Okay, so they're starting to see these individuals on a more rampant basis, and they're starting to get more valued opinions on them, and it allows us to, give you more information. Confirmation: Jordan Hall has lost weight. So there you go. Well, YouTube confirmation for you right here, right off the celly. Oh, dude, check out this sticker. It's already fading. It's a dino dada. It's a dino dada. My boy Carter, big into dinos. Okay, and his favorite dinos, T-Rex. They go raw. T-Rex go raw, dada. That's right, buddy. That's right. Hope you're sleeping tight up there, Carter Thomas. All right. I think we're going to be done. We got 4 minutes left. Do we have any more questions? Let's make sure I'm getting to all of these right here. Let's see here. Got to take. I did not miss Cody's super chat. I don't think we got to it, right? Yeah, we got to it. Okay, here we go. Marion Campbell must be a Michigan fan. We're going to have to find out more about Marion. We can have a little segment. More about Marion. I also totally forgot to send the video link to the Discord, so we can try to do that right now. Here, let's do this right now. Let's see. I will filibuster and give this a shot. Okay, if you're watching right now and you're like, you know what I would want to do sometime? I would want to join Brooks on his show and ask him a question. That's available to you right now if you're on the Discord channel. So I just dropped that in there, and I'll give that about, 2 minutes before I get out of here. I want to leave you with some final thoughts about G-Day. And I know I've already said this on this network and on this platform. Please, for the love of God, do not freak out Saturday when something happens, one way or the other, no matter the position, wherever the position battle is, whether it's corner, whether it's quarterback, damn sure if it's quarterback, or whether it's offensive line, whatever it is. Okay, whatever you see, do not freak out. All right, don't lean one way or the other. Okay, because tomorrow is just a culmination of a 15-period evaluation, a 15 practice evaluation, right? They have already, I think that's one of the biggest misnomers about spring practice. They are not just now teeing it up. Okay, the first scrimmage was not the first time that they scrimmaged, right? It's the first time they went inside the stadium and did it. These guys have been getting evaluated one-on-one, mano-a-mano, 11-on-11, okay, every inch and every step of the way this spring. Saturday is just another one. So if you're a football player listening tonight and you're freaking guts twisting because your NIL package is on the line and playing time's on the line Saturday, don't worry about it. It's been on the line. If that makes you feel any better, it probably don't. Probably makes you, well, it's going to make you feel good that you have 15, deposits in the bank, if you will, okay, from a spring practice standpoint, okay, if you've practiced well to this point, okay. But if you just heard me say that and you've been practicing like shit and you're hoping in tomorrow or Saturday is going to make it all better, it's not, Bubba. They done did it. They done evaluated that one. So you're good. I also want to leave you with this as we leave. I don't think anyone stepped up to the plate over there in Discord. It is what it is. I know it's hard. They're like, oh my God, so many people watching. I don't want to get in there and sound stupid. I get it. Trust me, I've gotten way over the did I sound stupid on camera? Did I look stupid on camera? Is way gone too. Don't know what we're talking about. So there you go. Do you sound stupid on camera all the time? Appreciate you guys being here. Hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I do really want to reiterate Creatures Comforts Saturday. If you're anywhere within an hour or two drive or 3 drive or 4 drive, whatever it is, get your butt up and get out there. All right, get your butt up and get out there. Actually, devices not connected, ZA23. We have rules around here. You got to at least have a camera. You got to at least have clothes on. Camera and clothes. That's all you got to have. That's all you got to have to get on this network and on this channel and on this platform. The link, camera, and clothes. 3 things. Appreciate you guys being here. Hit that thumbs up button on the way out. I love ya. Oh, no. Wait. We got Klesko. Klesko.
What's up, buddy?
No camera?
Hang on.
You know the rules. Camera and close. That's
Dude.
all the rules. No camera. This is just great television. See, this is why people don't do this. All right. They don't just randomly open the video phone lines. They always do audio phone lines, but they never do video phone lines. And we don't either. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next time.